Welcome to the WTBS NCAA Top 10 Ranking Show with your hosts, Justin Martinez and Ben Diaz. We do this weekly. Ben, what's up? Last Saturday, we were fed as far as college football goes. How'd you like the slate?
Justin. You there, buddy? All right, folks. Well, Justin's having a little bit of technical difficulties. He'll be right back. What's up, everybody? Ben and Justin coming at you Tuesday for the We Talking About Sports NCAA Top 10 show. Here's Justin. Justin, do we have you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Cannot hear you, man.
I think that's on you. I think it's your headphones. Let's see if we can get someone in the chat to see if they can hear us. Oh, Eddie, if you're there, can you hear me in the chat? Can you hear me? Type yes if you can hear me, Eddie. Okay, yeah. So I think it was Ben's headphones that were giving him problems. But yeah, so what we do weekly is the NCAA top 10 video. And I give my rankings for the top 10. And Ben will be joining us shortly once he gets his laptop reset or restarted. And for this week, I want to talk about, who's held the narrative for college football for the last 4 weeks, and that's the University of Colorado and Deion Sanders. Um, this week they went and they had the Pac-12 matchup. They had the two hardest games for the schedule coming up. They already faced one test. Unfortunately, they did not pass the test. That was Oregon. Now they're going to face USC this Saturday. College football got to see Dan Lanning, aka Kirby Smart Jr. Dan Lanning is the head coach for the Oregon football team, and we saw the locker room video where he was there, like saying, "We're here, they're here for clicks, and we're here for wins." That sounded exactly like Kirby Smart. If you ever heard a Kirby Smart locker room speech, that exactly sounded like it. I have no problem, with the tactics he used to motivate his players. I think they were very highly motivated going into the game. And if you saw some of the Colorado pregame antics, they were talking their talk and it didn't go well for them. Dan Lanning said we would prove it with the pads, and he definitely did. He proved it with the pads on the field. Oregon ends up routing Colorado 42-6. So, it wasn't close. This does show us that Colorado is still, a ways away from being a college football blue blood, but it does show what Deion's doing is also effective. And I think he's going to continue to get recruits to go there and want to play for him. He's introducing an absolute culture change. So losing 42-6, Deion, he said in the press conference, yeah, you better get me while I'm like this bad because I'm going to be better. And I absolutely do believe him. Ben, it's good to have you back. I think you were having technical difficulties with the audio, right?
Big time technical difficulties. Yeah, I had to reboot.
No problem.
We're good. We're here, baby.
So I was just talking about Dan Lanning, the Oregon head coach, because he was kind of introduced to the masses thanks to Deion, because honestly, nobody would be paying attention to these Oregon games because they play in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 doesn't get the shine that it normally does, but this year it's getting all the shine. And I was talking about how he's from the Kirby Smart coaching tree, and if you looked at the way he was motivating his team, it looked like it was exactly like Kirby Smart in the Georgia locker room with the way he was talking. What do you think about Dan Lanning?
Did you think it was fair or foul, kind of the approach that he took?
I think it's 100% fair because it got the kids motivated on the field and they did their job. Everyone has to coach their program their way, and the way Dan Lanning did it, it was like the Kirby Smart playbook all over again. So I think 100% fair.
Yeah, I agree, and I thought he did a damn good job too. That's why you got to say it's fair. Yeah. It really looked like the team was willing to run through a wall after that. I mean, it was good, right? It was good. They came out, they showed it. We talked about it last week when we were saying, it could kind of get ugly in the first quarter, could get ugly pretty quickly. And sure enough, I don't know if Oregon got stopped on a drive in the first half, scoring points, just field goal or touchdown regardless. But yeah, they got dominated. A lot's been coming out of the Colorado players pregame as well, talking a
Mad
whole
crap
lot
on the
a
field.
whole lot of mess.
Stomping on the O.
Shiloh Sanders, Dion's son, also saying that he would whoop on all of them and their coach. So I think that they gotta back down to reality check. I think everybody saw it coming. Dion and I mean the team. I don't. You always they're biggest believers in themselves, but they
Yeah,
didn't expect to go undefeated. I mean, everybody knew that eventually this was going to happen. I thought Dion reacted pretty well to it after the game as well.
100% he did.
And I mean, maybe we'll talk about it, but it might be more of the same this coming week. But for the Ducks, great performance. Bo Nix, about his seventh year in college. I mean, that was
6.
good. Yeah, and I like the jersey combination as well.
Yeah, they got 11 jerseys this year, so I'm sure we'll see them all.
But so can Oregon even be saying that? They play for the clicks when you got 11 different jersey colors, that are coming out. That's kind of Oregon kind of invented the
The
you
clicks.
know, playing in style and this and whatnot with the jersey schemes that Nike puts together for them.
Yeah, you know what, Ben? They use it as a recruiting tool as well. They have the awesome locker room. They show every Saturday going to look different. It's a recruiting tool in itself. So they did kind of, I wouldn't say invent it, but they have been using that as a tool. So it's no different. It's just something in the locker room to get you guys going. So, like I said, it's got to be fair when you got them that motivated that they're routing a team. So
For sure.
let's move into the top 10. We got some movers and shakers this week.
Here
Number
we go.
one,
Here we
Georgia.
go.
Number one, Georgia. Two, Michigan. Three, Florida State. Four, Texas. All right. So I want to focus on Florida State and Texas because I've had a lot of conviction this week to move them up to the 1 and 2 spots. Because when I'm looking at my top 10, I like to go by what I've seen so far. And Texas and Florida State, out of this top 10 teams, they got two of the best wins. Maybe Ohio State has a case for having one of the best wins when they beat Notre Dame this week. But Florida State beat LSU, and now they're beating Clemson. Texas, they went to Brian Denny and they beat Alabama. Georgia and Michigan have yet to play a team with a winning record and beat them. So it's just I'm getting conviction. I'm starting to think maybe I should move them up, but I'm holding off for now. We're gonna go 5 Ohio State. We saw the performance against Notre Dame. They were pretty much evenly matched. And in the end, luckily that they got the ball back and they got out of their own way because the jet sweep before that didn't make no sense. I'm glad Ohio State gets the win. 6 Penn State, they honestly start to look like the best Big Ten team so far. That's the performances that they've had. 7 USC, 8 Washington. Scary hours on that offense. If you caught that game, that was the latest game on Saturday night. Michael
Oh yeah.
Penix Jr. is that dude. 9 Oregon and 10 Utah. This is probably the most Pac-12 teams in the top 10 in quite some time. Ben, roast me or praise me. What do you like or hate about this top 10?
I would have kept Notre Dame in the top 10 just based off the way the game was played, kind of how it went down.
I have
I
them
mean,
11. Yeah.
tough way to lose.
Mhm.
Definitely a tough way to lose. Michigan, I don't think that Harbaugh has been, on the sidelines with the teams yet this season. I think this might be
One
his first
time.
week.
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah.
So can't really fault them being without their head coach. I think that, I agree with the rankings. The FSU win at Florida bumps them up over Texas. I know you had Texas at 3. That game, I thought Florida State was going to win it easier than it wasn't easy by any means. It took overtime, but I thought that they were going to kind of win it comfortably. I'm not really high on Clemson at all. And
Yeah. 2
albeit
losses already.
they were at home. They already have 2 losses. They
In
can't,
September, 2 losses for Clemson is crazy.
yeah, they can't go over their season win total. They already lost the over for that season win total. So yeah, man. I like the rankings. I think FSU respectively deserves, the nod over Texas. And Ohio State definitely deserves to be at number 5 after that win against a Notre Dame team that is for real. Maybe a one-loss Notre Dame team can find themselves in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they will be a fringe team. Well, last week we said we would look at the Heisman rankings, and we're going to take a look at it. And here is our Heisman tracker for the week. and the names seem to come from the Pac-12. It seems like the quarterbacks in the Pac-12 are the best this year. We got 5 names here, and 4 are quarterbacks in the Pac-12. I'm going to read some stats. I got Penix Jr., 1,600 yards passing, 16 total touchdowns on a 74.6 completion percentage. He currently has the best odds to win the Heisman at plus 255. We'll move on to Caleb Williams, 1,200 passing yards, 15 passing touchdowns, 71 rushing yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. Current odds plus 375. Next, best odds, and this is where I'll stop. Bo Nix, 1,100 passing yards, 11 passing touchdowns, 69 rushing yards. His odds, though, plus 1,200. It seems like the odds are get steep after Penix Jr. and Caleb Williams. It looks like it's a two-way Heisman race right now. What do you think about this, Ben? The Pac-12 quarterbacks shining out.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the offense, the most high-powered offenses are led by Caleb Williams and Penix. Penix looked really, really good this past week. And man, even that Wazoo's quarterback, a little
Cam Ward,
sleeper, little dark horse, but
he's in there.
he has been playing really good football. That was a barn burner against Oregon State last week. But yeah, I think deservedly so. Penix deserves to be on top. I know going into it preseason, Caleb Williams was the favorite to repeat.
Mhm.
So, those Penix betters, you already got value.
Yeah. Man, you know what, Ben? If you're on the East Coast, you got to be hating this because all the best football is being played, the best offensive football is being played on the West Coast right now with these quarterbacks. It's a shame.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Especially, with the way that Auburn and your Floridas are down. Arkansas, I know they're not necessarily East Coast, but there's a lot of teams in the SEC that just ain't got it this year, bro.
It's a lot of bad quarterback play in the SEC. When Graham Mertz is completing 77% and he's one of your top guys in the SEC, and he's only throwing for 3 yards aerial, like he's throwing short passes. So
Right.
it shows how bad the play is in the SEC for quarterbacks right now. A&M's quarterback, probably one of the better ones. He's out for the season as of today.
What happened there?
I think it might have been an ankle injury, is what I was reading. I have to recheck, but I just saw that alert today.
Dang, and you said they got Ohio State coming up this week, so not good news at all.
Yeah. Well, let's move into our top 25 games this week. Uh, I want to give you some kudos. Last week you said Oregon State would lose to Washington State. You were correct. This week we got Utah, number 10, 3.5 dogs going into the Beaver Stadium at minus 3.5. The number 19 Beavers. Ben, they will still be without Cameron Rising. They are using Johnson still. Cameron Rising does look like he's getting closer. He's warming up with the team. He's getting some first team reps, but they're still going to go with Johnson more than likely at game time. Who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, I mean, I know that they're undefeated still with it. Utah, I mean, they're in your top 10. Currently, they were number 10, but you said they're still going to be without the quarterback. I think that they've been skating by. They've just been,
I agree.
barely getting by. It's not a coincidence that Oregon State's favored, and this is by more than a field goal. Give me Oregon State at home to bounce back and beat Utah.
All right, DJ Boo is going to do it for you. Here we go. We got Kansas, Lance Leipold, number 24, 16.5 dogs at Texas. Number 3, Texas, 16.5-point favorites. No team has stopped Texas from scoring 30 points this season. The Alabama win is aging pretty good, considering the amount of points we scored at Alabama. They haven't given up more than 7 points since. So, what do you got here first?
Yeah, I think that we're going to find out a lot about the defense. I really like Kansas's quarterback. They're a pretty aerial attack. I mean, they're competent on offense. I do think UT should be able to, name their score offensively. But the defense, I think that they're going to have some opportunities for some turnovers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would like to see a pick or two against a Kansas team that's going to air it out a lot, spread it out. And we've seen Kansas give Texas trouble before. You know what I mean? So here we got a spread of a little under 2 touchdowns and a field goal at 16.5. I don't like Texas to cover this spread personally. I do think that they win, but that's a pretty high number for a Kansas team that has come a long way in the last 5 years.
I want us to cover so bad. I'm gonna go with us to cover the spread. I think we're gonna stop Kansas. I think this defense is elite. I think the defensive backs are elite. I think they stop them. I'm gonna go Texas covering the spread and getting the win.
And then you got the look ahead to the Red River rivalry the following week. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be, backing Texas in the 16 and a half unless they just go and send out a message like, hey, this is how we're coming to Dallas, baby.
I hope that's the case, man. I'm ready to win. Two teams
I'm
that
ready.
struggled last week. LSU, it took the last minute drive to beat Arkansas, and Ole Miss just could not get it going offensively last week against Alabama. I thought they would cover it. I thought the wrong team was favored. I thought the offense would get going. It just did not. Jackson Dart was nowhere to be found. Lane Kiffin looked like, he was getting outcoached by Nick Saban once again. Ben, who do you got here in this struggle game?
Yeah, Ole Miss had some opportunities. They had some opportunities in the first half, but they didn't take advantage. And Alabama was still there at halftime, and in the second half, they just took over
Yeah.
because they're just a lot meaner. They're just a lot more physical than this Ole Miss team. We talked about Dart at Ole Miss, and I said I wasn't that big of a fan, and that I was surprised that Sanders, the Oklahoma State, transfer, was
Sanders.
was the backup and not the starter. So I'm going to go with LSU here, especially because they're going to be at home. I'm going to go with LSU. I think that they're going to get it done by at least a touchdown here against Ole Miss. LSU is just going to be way more physical. Give me LSU at home.
Last year, this game is where Jaden Daniels came out and really solidified himself. He really had the offensive going against Ole Miss. I think he does it again. Give me LSU to win and win big here. Let's move over to the newly crowned football school, Duke, number 17,
Duke.
plus 5.5 underdogs going into Notre Dame, number 11 ranked Notre Dame, minus 5.5. Ben, I know you're big on Notre Dame. This win would probably project them back into the top 10. Do you see that happening this weekend?
I do see them winning. I see an overs here. I think Notre Dame's going to hit at least 30. I think Duke might be pushing 30 as well. I think that this is going to be a competitive game. I don't think that this is an easy game for Notre Dame at all, but I do like the Irish to win. So, those 6-point teasers, maybe a little money line parlay. Give me Notre Dame. Definitely don't see them losing back to back weeks. And this is a great bounce back game, like you said. You get another ranked opponent, number 17, a school in Duke that people are slowly starting to respect, as you said, a new renowned football school. So, yeah, this is a really good opportunity for Notre Dame. Give me the Irish.
Yeah, same here. I think Notre Dame covers. I think Hartman goes off, has a really good performance, and he boosts them back into the top 10 so that they can be closing out at the end of the year somewhere in that top 5. I really believe they'll bounce back. I think the coach will have them right. Last week, they looked good against Ohio State. It took a literal last second play to beat them. I don't think Duke is going to have that talent level to do something like that against Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins here, and I think they win. I think they cover the spread. All right, Ben. Anything else for college football week 5 that you want to talk about?
No, man, that's all I got. It was a good week of ranked matchups. We got some more ranked matchups this week. Hopefully we get some shaking up in the top 10.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully it's not Texas or Ohio State.
Well, I don't care about Ohio State, but no Texas, man.
All right,
We're gonna have a big show next week, though, bro. We're going into the Red River rivalry, so damn that
we should get some guests on for that one.
Definitely, old Boomer Sooner against the Longhorns.
Get Gene.
That's gonna be a good one. So I'm looking forward to next week's show. Oh, I wonder what that spread's gonna be too.
I think it's opened up at 5.5
for the Longhorns favored.
Yes, but that's as of today. We still got to see what happens with Kansas. I'm sure that'll move the line.
All right, so 5.5. Let's see what it's at when we talk about it next Tuesday.
All right. Well, that's it for us. We talking about sports. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.